Hi everybody, my name's Gary and I'm a real alcoholic. Truly by the grace of God, people like y'all and rooms like this that I had the God of October 19th, 1992. And for that, I am truly grateful. Well, it's an honor and a privilege to be asked to come up here and do this kind of thing. I've been thinking about this for a little while. I know what you mean about the kind of stories I'm going to talk about. I have no idea what I'm going to say now. Well, I'll just tell my story. I'm glad to be asked, okay, I guess you're the one responsible for getting us up here tonight. I just want to give, I just want to make sure,
It's Robin's fault.
who's responsible.
Yes,
Robin? Okay, so if I offend anybody, then y'all go find Robin. Okay. If I say something right, then you come
My
talk
wife
to me.
don't talk to me.
Well, a little bit about what happened, what it's like, and what it was like, and what it's like now. A lot of people I hear talk, say they don't really remember their first drink, but I remember mine. I remember very clearly. I was 13 years old, and I grew up here in Lubbock, but when I was that summer between 12 and 13, well, it was right after the tornado. That summer, we moved up to a little town up in northeast Missouri, and that's where my mother was from. And I was actually born there. All her family, my mom's family, lived up there. And so we moved up there, and it's just a small town, one of everything, and went up in school up in there, and I'm the new kid in town, and I'm trying to fit in, and all the kids hung out at the bowling alley on Friday nights, and so I wanted to go up there and hang out with all the kids, at the bowling alley. And my dad said, it'd be all right, but he had a couple of rules. He wanted me up at the front door, straight up 10 o'clock, when he come to get me. He didn't want to have to come looking for me. And the other rule was I wasn't allowed to go out in the back parking lot. And I said, okay, I can do that. And it didn't take me long to figure out, that all the cool kids was hanging out in the back parking lot, and I wanted to fit in and be cool and all that. And so I went out there in that back parking lot, and I found out what they was doing. They was doing some drinking out there. And so before I knew it, I was handed a bottle of Boone Farm Strawberry Hill wine. Yeah. And I was watching how they was drinking it, and they was turning that bottle up and chugging it up. And so I did exactly like they did. And it didn't take very, but a drink or two, and man, it just, I felt really good. And all of a sudden I started feeling like I was part of the crowd. I fit in. I was having fun, and I'd take a big old swig off that bottle again. And before long, I drank a couple of bottles of it. And I looked down at my watch, and it's about 5 minutes after 10. And so I went running up in that back door, and there's my dad standing at the front door. And he saw me coming in that back door, and I come running up there, and he said, what you doing out there in that back parking lot? And I said, nothing. He said, get your butt in the car. And so I got in the car, and it was the winter time, and so he had the heater turned on. And I got in that car, and it's kind of hot, and I had on this big old coat. And before I knew it, I started feeling kind of sick, like I was going to throw up, and before I knew it, it come out, and I puked all over the dashboard of his car. And he said, what you been drinking? And I said, nothing. can smell it. And so I told him what all happened and everything. And I got in trouble, you know. And I got grounded from the bowling alley for a little while. The thing about that was is that I couldn't wait to do it again.
Yep.
That first experience there, it changed my life completely. I was never the same again. Alcohol had done for me what I've been looking for all my life, it seemed like. I was one of them people that just didn't seem to fit in no matter where I was at, and it just seemed like everybody knew something that I didn't know, and when I drank, that all went away. And when I drank, it seemed like I fit in. And when I read in the big book, you know, where it says in there, you know, that for most normal folks, drinking means conviviality, companionship, colorful imagination, a feeling that life is good. That's how I felt. And I felt that way every time I drank. And I drank every single opportunity I got after that. But from that first experience too, I also learned that if I was going to drink, I was going to have to lie about it. You know? And I just kind of instinctively knew to lie and cover up. And that's what I also did. I covered up. But I drank every opportunity I got, and I snuck around, and I did everything I could not to get caught drinking again, and that's the way I started living. We lived up there in that little town for a couple of years. And oddly enough, you know, it's a very small world, you know. I remember telling this one time, and that's when I kind of met Bud. It's a little town called Kirksville, Missouri, and Bud lived there and drank there for a little while too. He sort of told me, you know, there's a school there and he went there. Anyways, we moved back to Lubbock after a couple of years, and by then I got into high school, and you know, I'm a drinking, and you know, every opportunity I got, and I started meeting some of my old friends, you know, that I knew from back in grade school, and they was doing all kinds of things, and so I started doing all kinds of things, and you know, it was the 70s, you know, the early 70s. I think it was like 1973 when I started high school, and man, it was just everything was going on. I mean, there was rock and roll concerts, parties, keg parties. You know, we'd go to school, and everybody was drinking and smoking pot and popping acid and listening to all this wild rock and roll music. And boy, I was just fitting right in with all of that stuff. And you know, I went to Coronado High School, and back then, you know, there was like 3 separate groups of kids in school. There was the jocks, and then there was the Grits, the Cowboys bunch, and then there was the freaks. You know, and I was a freak. You know, I don't know who thought of that name, but that's what we was. And so I went to school mostly just to party. I didn't go there to learn nothing. I went there to get high and to drink and be with my friends. And I have no idea, but I managed to graduate high school. I don't know how I did that, but well, I kind of do. I mean, I didn't do homework or any of that stuff, but I was a good test taker. Most of that stuff just common sense, anyways. Really, you just kind of, if you showed up and listened a little bit, you could learn some things. But I could pass the test, and I had to graduate in summer school, and because I refused to write a junior theme, and so that kind of had to grade, so I failed one semester of junior English. And So I had to take that in summer school before I could graduate. And I got a hold of a couple of themes, and I just copied them and wrote it in my own handwriting. And you had to write at least one to get out of summer school. And I did one on Igor Stravinsky. And I had this theme, and it was a perfect theme that had a couple of spelling errors and some grammar errors, and I corrected those, and I turned in this perfect junior theme. And that teacher, I handed him, and he said, "You didn't write this." I said, "I damn sure did." But I wrote it, I copied it, but I wrote it. And he looked at me, and of course, I got this long hair, and I'm a freak, and I'm a stoner, and reeked of alcohol all the time. And he said, "You're not going to college, are you?" And I said, "No." He said, "All right," and so he passed me. And I got my diploma. By the time I graduated high school, they had changed the drinking age to 18, from 21 to 18. And by the time I graduated high school, I was drinking every day. Not only at school, but after I got out of school, I'd go up to Town Draw because they had 3 o'clock beer. And I made all the rounds of all the different bars. Back then, I think Lubbock had just passed the law for liquor by the drink in Lubbock, in the city of Lubbock. And so it opened up bar rooms all over town. Bar rooms, dance halls, honky-tonks, everywhere. And I think disco was kind of hitting the scene pretty good about then, and that's where all the girls was. And so even though I didn't care much for disco, I went in there to chase the skirts. And now this is kind of what I look like. Now I'm going in these discotheques, and I've got hair down way on my back, and I'm wearing a big bull rider cowboy hat, and pearl snap shirt and boots, and I'm going in there disco. And then we go over to Fat Dogs, and we go over to Roxy's, and we'd listen to some rock and roll and this and that, and we'd be scrapping and fighting. And I'd go over to Honky Tonk and Saddle Bronx and see what kind of trouble we're getting. And I just hit all the different places. And after that, after the bars closed at 2, then we'd go over on the east side over to TJ's, and we'd go to all-night joint and gamble, shoot pool and shoot crap and drink and dance and all that till all hours. And it's just crazy. All the time. We had a blast. We did. It was fun. But I knew that my drinking was a little bit different than everyone else. It seemed like I drank more than most people did. We all drank a lot, but it seemed like I drank a lot faster than they did. I would drink before I got ready to go out and drink. Anybody ever do that? Get drinking before you go drinking? That's what I did. Now, I tried real hard to handle my booze. Now I wasn't real good because I was a little guy, drinking a whole bunch, and I sometimes I'd get sick and throw up. A lot more than I wanted to. I'd pass out sometimes before I was ready to stop. I'd get thrown in jail, public intoxication, disorderly conduct, DWI, things like that. I was a mouthy drunk. I didn't know when to shut up. The cops wouldn't. They didn't scare me, and I'd talk crap to them. And they throw me in jail. They let all my friends go. But they put me in. I've got a long criminal record. I don't know how I managed out. I never did go to TVC. Mostly, I think, because I was able to pay my way out of it. Oilfield hit pretty big time. Back in the late 70s. I started working in the oil patch, and I made tons and tons of money. years old, and it's about 1980, and I'm making about $50,000 a year, and that's a lot of money in those days. It really was. I traveled all over the United States, doodle bugging. Anybody, any oil field workers, know what doodle bugging is? I doodle bugged everywhere, and traveled all over the place and had great fun. We worked 8 days on, got 6 days off, so it's like having a vacation every other week. And we were stationed here in Lubbock, but we traveled everywhere, and all down south Mississippi, all during the summer and I traveled wherever they at. I lived in a hotel room most of the time, and we'd stay in the town about 3-4 months, and we'd move to another town, and they were really always glad to see us come, but they were as glad to see us go. We worked hard and we played hard. And those were some good times, really was. In between some of the getting in trouble stuff. I got my first DWI when I was about 17 years old, and back then it was just kind of a slap on the hand. I think I got a little bit of a fine, and I think they took my driver's license away from me for a little while. Got another one. I don't know, around 18 or 19. Another slap on the hand. Just a short little bitty fine and losing the license for a little bit, but I just keep going and that never stopped me from driving a car. I didn't get out of drive. A few car wrecks, things like that. It's just all kind of part of it. And my story does contain, some drug use, quite a bit of drug use. I'm an alcoholic that did mountains and mountains of dope. Everything was there. And I did everything that was available. Whatever was there was what I was doing. And I was the kind of guy that, somebody'd be selling something, I'd, get me a handful of it and take it, swallow it and then go, what's it going to do? They're going, you did all that? And I'm, yeah. But everything went. Whatever was there, I wanted to do it. But alcohol was always present, always. It was the most important part of my life. I didn't do anything without drinking. Now, I didn't drink at work, but as soon as work was over with, it was drinking, During that time in the oil field, a lot of things happened to me. I got arrested for forging scripts. I learned real easy. You go to the doctor, you steal script pad, and I learned how to write them scripts. And I did that for a couple of years, and I got caught doing it, and I, they charged me with attempting to obtain a controlled substance by forgery, which was a 10-year felony sentence, state jail sentence. And my attorney got it busted down to misdemeanor conviction with no probation time. And so I'm going to do a good job. And the problem was about a week after they put me on probation, I just barely even met my probation officer. A week later, I think it might have been my 4th DWI, and I'm standing in front of that judge again, and he remembered me, and he's going, weren't you just in my court a couple of weeks ago? And I said, yes, sir, I was. And he looked at me, and he looked at my record, and he said, you're a menace to society. He said, you're a drug addict and an alcoholic. And he said, I'm going to give you an option here. You can either go to prison for 3 years, or you can go to treatment. Take care of your drug and alcohol problem. I never heard of treatment or anything like that before, and so treatment sure sounded like a whole lot better than going to prison for 3 years. And so I chose treatment, and I signed these commitment papers. And I didn't know that they were commitment papers at the time, but I just signed whatever paper they put in front of me, and next thing I know, I got my bag packed, and my attorney contacted me and told me, said, well, these guys are going to come pick you up from White River Retreat, the treatment center over White River Lake. He said, they're going to come get you on a Sunday afternoon, and you need to be ready and go up there and stay about a month. Anyways, this guy named Rock Allen picked me up at my house. And I had him off the bag, for my clothes and everything. I went out there and threw it in the back of his pickup truck there, and he looked at me and he said, how come you ain't drunk? And I'm going, I didn't know I could be. And he said, well, most people get real drunk before they come to treatment. And I'm going, well, I didn't get drunk because I thought I was going to some kind of a hospital, and you don't get drunk before you go to the hospital. And I told him, I said, well, we stopped at the beer store on the way. No, we're not stopping no more. That's my first exposure to Alcoholics Anonymous, was at this treatment center. They had an AA meeting there every Saturday night, and I didn't fit into this treatment center any more than I did anywhere else I ever been. I was 25 years old. Everybody else in there was old people, about 40 or 50 years old. Seemed pretty old to me, They were all alcoholics, and that's what they were saying. They were going, we're alcoholics, and I'm not an alcoholic. And I was looking at all the differences. For one, the age was a big difference. They're all twice as old as me. They're old enough to be, parents were better. And all of them looked really bad shape, I just didn't relate to them. They would just talk about drinking, Aquabelva and Listerine, and having the DPs and the shakes and all this stuff, and I'm just not doing that. And I remember they put me in detox, and they started filling me up full of these pills, and I didn't know where I was coming or going, after they put me on them pills, and finally they took me off of them, and I started attending groups and listening and paying attention to what they were saying and stuff, but mostly I was just looking at all the differences. And anyways, I stayed in there for 34 days, exactly. And they finally let me out of there. And my old field crew was up in Oklahoma working, and I went straight from there to Dickens, got me a 12-pack of beer, and headed up to Ardmore, Oklahoma, where they was at. Now, I got to Wichita Falls, sideswiped the telephone pole, but I was drunker than hell. Parked my truck on the side of the highway, and I passed out, and I woke up and took back off again, and I didn't pay any attention, but I put it in second gear instead of dry, and I drove from Wichita Falls to Ardmore in second gear, and by the time I got to where the hotel was at, they were staying at, my transmission was smoking and burned up, and I'm, staggering drunk, and I'm sitting on the side of the road there. It's just right there in front of the hotel. I was too drunk to push it into the parking lot, and the crew started coming in that night from being out in the field working, and my boss pulled up behind me, and he looked at me and he said, dang, that treatment didn't help you one bit, did it? And I said, no, I guess not. And I said, I'm back. And he said, well, be ready to work at 8 o'clock. And so I went to work. And I worked for that crew for quite a little bit longer, but they put me into treatment. and they paid for that, and the insurance did and everything. They tolerated a lot of crap from me, and I wasn't easy to get along with, working. I'd always irritable as hell in the morning. Didn't go to AA or any of that stuff. Followed any of the directions they asked me, and I spent the next 10 years finding out what all those yets were. Because see, in treatment, I said, I ain't like y'all, I hadn't done this, I hadn't done that, and that's going, not yet, but if you keep doing it, you will. And 10 years later, I found out and learned why somebody would drink aftershave. Because I started getting to where I shook so hard in the morning that I couldn't even light a cigarette. I'd wake up and take a drink just so I could go back to sleep. That's where alcohol had taken me. There was a lot of crappy things that did happen to me out there. I mean, I'm lucky to be alive on a lot of different kind of things. I got run over by a car, broke my back, and crushed my inside so badly that they didn't think I was going to live because of the internal injuries. And if I did live, I didn't think I'd ever walk again because I was paralyzed from the waist down. And it was at a chili cook-off, It wasn't as big as the one in Carlingle, but it was out here at Lubbock Downs, Lubbock's version of chili cook-off. I remember it happening to me and everything, but I spent I didn't die, and of course, and it didn't paralyze. Apparently it just bruised my spinal cord, but it pulverized my fourth lumbar vertebrae and smashed into nothing, and they fused my back all together, and so it's all one bone now, but it didn't slow me down much. I developed a pretty good little dilaudid habit. I spent the next year in a body cast, and that old company saved my job for me. I was off work for a whole year, and they saved my job for me. And I came back to work, and it was just like nothing had ever happened. The drinking was just as hard, the drugs were just as hard, and the partying was just as hard. And then finally one day, they just really, I think they had enough of me. And they fired me because I drank too much. Now, I don't know how many of you guys work in oil patch and everything, but if oil patch people tell you that you're drinking too much, they are. I was up in Cadillac, Michigan whenever they fired me, and it was right before Christmas, and so I came back home to Lubbock, and I'm trying to drink, and I'm trying to drink, like I was making oil field wages, and about the only job I could find, was minimum wage, temporary help kind of thing, working my butt off, hard labor for nothing, and I finally got some decent work full time, where I was making some money. It was. Everybody there drank just like I did, and it was okay, it was acceptable. If I didn't get up in the morning, they'd drag my butt out of bed and make me go to work, even if I'm puking. But that's just kind of how that job was. I started. That's when my drinking really. That's when it really changed a lot. It was no longer drinking to have fun. It was drinking to function. Just I couldn't not drink. I couldn't explain it to anybody. I couldn't make anybody understand, that I had to drink. The drugs kind of winged off quite a bit because I couldn't afford them anymore, but. everything just seems to, I mean, it's just crazy, you know, and I'd met this gal down in Odessa, and we kind of shacked up a little bit, and it turned into 4 years, and then it turned into a nightmare, really. The first 2 years we were together was pretty fun. It was great, you know, and I didn't work much, and she didn't really care too much. She made a lot of money. One morning I was virtually unemployable by this time. I was drinking, you know, pretty, you know, it's funny how animals are. They can hear a beer can opening from a long ways off. You know, I'm a morning drinker, and we were living in this trailer house, and I'd get up, I'd be about 6 o'clock in the morning, I'd sneak in there, and I'd get me a beer, and I'd go way on the other side of the trailer house, and the way back part of the back bedroom in there, and I'd get me a beer, and I'd put a pillow over it, and she would hear it, and then the fight was on. About 6 o'clock that night, the cops would be there, and they was there all the dang time, and I mean, we were beating the hell out of each other, and she had hit me, and I hit her back, you know, and that's just how it was for the next 2 years. And finally she figured out how to get me the hell out there, and she, the cops came one night, and they talked me into going to a hotel room for the night and just getting out of there, because we was having that domestic problem. And I said, no, I ain't going nowhere. If I drive off, y'all arrest me for DWI, I ain't doing it. And they said, we promise we won't. And they already called and got a hotel room set up. And so I said, well, I'm taking my beer. And so I took my beer, and they followed me to the hotel, and they, and I spent the night there. And I came back the next day, and all the locks were changed on the door. And she had a restraining order put on me and had me arrested for assault and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just kind of going, good God, anyways, that was the end of that relationship. I've gotten I've spent the next few years homeless. I call it couch surfing. I'd sleep wherever I could find a place to sleep, and a lot of times it was in the alley, in the park, in the bushes, somewhere outside, and I lived that way for a while. Just not much of anything good going on. I'm hanging on to some jobs, but just barely. Anyways, I've gotten arrested for my 8th DWI. All right. So this time it's a felony. I couldn't get it dismissed or reduced or anything. Didn't have any money. And so the attorney court-appointed attorney just plea bargained for probation. They put me on 3-year probation, felony DWI charge. And I'm going, okay, at least I'm not in prison. And so I'm playing games, with probation. Lying about it. You know how they make you sign probation papers and stuff? I probation on it, and I started figuring out, they didn't really pay attention to who signed them things. So I just started forwarding myself. And of course, he's telling me, you got to go to, 2 or 3 meetings a week or something like that. And I got in trouble one time I got arrested by some cops. I staggered out of town draw, and these cops was in the parking lot, and I peeked on one of them, and he threw me in jail for public intoxication, and then. Of course, I was out past curfew, so there's 2 violations on it, and so I got to go to 5 meetings a week now, and I don't know, some dirty UAs and this and that, and so I got to go every day, go to meetings every day, and so I'm forging them, saying I'm going to meetings and I'm not. And finally one day, I was kind of tired of doing it, and I figured I needed to get somebody else to sign. I went on my cousin's house and asked her to sign. And she said, well, where do you want to put it? I said, well, put down the face center. And so she wrote the face center down seven times, 7 days in a row, and I turned that in, and he looked at me and he said, Gary, I got some bad news for you here. And I said, what's that? And he's going, well, you said you went to the face center 7 days in a row, and they only have like 3 or 4 meetings a week, I started backing up pretty, well, I did go to some of them, which I didn't, but anyways, he kicked me out of his office and told me, said he's going to try to figure out what to do with me. And so I figured, well, I need to go to treatment again. It got me out of trouble last time, because I knew he was fixing to revoke me. So I checked myself in the Jim Kimmel Center downtown there, and I did the deal there, and I started kind of wanting to be sober. I wanted to be able to drink, but not be in trouble. So I kind of struggled with sobriety times, dry dates and stuff. Had different dry dates all the time. But they talked me into going to a place called the Walker House, and it was a men's halfway house back then. It wasn't a women's treatment center like it is now. It was a men's halfway house over on 17th and Avenue K. I started kind of paying attention to some things. I was still wanting to be sober, but I wasn't real sure. You get that thinking, man, I can't drink ever again. I got to quit drinking forever. So, if I got to quit drinking forever, I'm going to have one more good party before And so I started planning it out, and you get when you're in a halfway house like that, if you got a job and you're in good standing with the rent and you're doing everything, so you can get a 48-hour pass on the weekends. So, I went over Red Raider and got me loaded up on a bunch of beer and a bit of whiskey, and I pulled up in that hotel room, and I got gloriously drunk and got back, and time for curfew on Sunday, and nobody knew the difference. And worked so well, I decided, well, I'll do it next week, and I did it again, and then I did it again. But this time I didn't stay at that hotel. Decided to get out and run around a little bit, and I met up with a buddy of mine, and we went out to Buffalo Lake, and I met up with this old gal over there. And, long story short, next thing I know, it's Monday morning, and I'm supposed to be back on Sunday night. And I showed up there at the halfway house, and they were waiting up for me, and they said, where you been? And I said, I've been drunk. And they said, yeah, we kind of figured that. And so they kicked me out. And I'm living in my pickup truck. Everything I got is in the front seat of that truck. I'm barely hanging on to this job. And I'm sleeping on turn rows. Just driving around drinking, thinking, and holding on to this job, and getting pretty nasty. Belly full of booze, head full of AA's, not a good place. Got to the jumping off place, and I ain't no good for nothing. And I started thinking about doing myself in and planning that out. And long story short, every time I went and tried to kill myself, I'd get arrested for DWI. Happened twice, that's when I don't know, I'm sitting in the drunk tank over at Lovell County Jail, thinking about, this coincidence that I keep, every time I try to hurt myself, I get arrested, and correlation with all that and everything. I remember hearing people saying AA that God helps us when we can't help ourselves. And I wasn't helpless, but I was hopeless, because I couldn't see any Anyway, I mean, I'd been to treatment, I'd tried, I'd lived halfway house, couldn't stay sober any place I did, you know. I didn't understand really what was wrong with me. I really didn't. I did not have no idea what an alcoholic was. I was always able to put the dope down whenever I saw a need to. It wasn't that hard for me. I mean, you know, but I just could not let go of alcohol. And I remember in AA saying that God works through others to help themselves, and it was kind of like a light bulb started kind of coming on, and I realized that the Lubbock City Police Department was saving me from me, and that maybe they were an instrument of God, that God was working through the Lubbock City Police Department to help me, and that He had been all along. I couldn't tell you how many public intoxications I've got. I got a bunch of them, you know. I've seen my arrest record. It's lengthy. Lots and lots of public intoxication charges. And, I mean, I even had two public intoxications in one day once. I got out of jail, and I didn't have enough money to get my truck out of the impound, and it's cold outside, and my jacket was in there, and I walked over to the Salvation Army over there downtown there, and you know, the Walker House right across the street from it, and I'm thinking about, you know, it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was thinking about maybe, you know, I'll go knock on the door and tell them I'm ready to be sober. And then I thought, they'd probably just piss them off. And so I knew a friend of mine that he lived about a mile away. And I walked over there. It's just an old drunk house, you know. And I walked over there. Hell, front door's wide open, you know. 34 guys, you know, passed out there. You know, floor and couch and chairs and stuff, you know, beer cans all over the damn place. And I just walked in, shut the door, sat down, and I'm just kind of waiting for, you know, the sun come up, so I go over to Walker House, tell them I'm ready to be sober. And I started, you know, getting a little shaky, and so I went and opened up the refrigerator, and dang it, and there's a brand new 12-pack of Budweiser beer in there, and hadn't even been opened. And I shut the door, and then I thought for a second, well, I'll just have one just to kind of knock the edge off of it, you know, and that's it. And by the time the sun come up, I done drank that whole 12-pack, and them guys were starting to get up, and they're wanting to drink, and I done drank all the beer, and they're getting madder than hell. And I was going, you know, God dang, man, why don't you go back over that damn halfway house and let them people help you? Well, I think I will, you know. And so I went over there and I told Rock what had happened. And at first he wasn't going to let me back in. He told me, he said, "Oh, you just running from the law like you always have been. You ain't ready." And I explained to him, you know, I was trying to kill myself. And I wanted to live. And I was willing to do whatever it takes, you know. And see, it's an important question. I think that we all have to ask ourselves when we join AA. You know, and it's in how it works. It says, you know, if you want what we have and you're willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready. Until then, you're probably not going to stay sober. You know, I didn't know what they had in AA or what, you know, I really didn't know what they had, you know, other than they seemed to be staying sober and I wasn't. And I was willing to go to any length at this point. You know, I'd hit a bottom where I just couldn't live like that anymore. You know, I didn't want to live that way. I couldn't. And it was either die or get sober. And I tried dying and, you know, I couldn't, it just didn't happen, you know. Drinking myself to death was taking too long. I told Rock I was going to do whatever, and I asked him, I said, what do I do? Tell me what to do, I'll do it. He said, go to meetings, get your sponsor. You know, go in there and tell them who you are, what you are, give your guy a date, share a little bit about what they have to say, then you listen, pay attention. Be a part of it. You know, don't be on the outside looking in. Be on the inside looking out. Join up. And that's what I did. I started going to Midtown AA, and that was my first home group. I got me a sponsor. I shook hands with everybody. And before long, I knew everybody, and everybody knew me. Now, that was October 19th, 1992, and I've been sober ever since, okay? That day I went in there and Brock gave me another chance when he didn't have to. And I did everything I've been asked to do in AA ever since. Well, now come time now, they didn't forget about them 2 DWIs that got arrested for. They weren't real happy about that. And so, my probation officer told me, he said, and I told him, what had happened. I got honest with him, and I told him what happened. And he's a good guy. He told me, he said, I can't save you from I've got to file a revocation. I just, no way, it has happened. And he said, well, what you do, he said, you got this job. He said, he said, it's going to take a little while for all the paperwork goes through. He said, you get you a paycheck and go down and pay your bail bond and get you an attorney and then I'll come get you whenever it's time to let you know you got when the warrant comes out. And then when it does, you'll be able to do that book and release, and they'll let you stay in that halfway house, and you stay there until we figure out, until you go to court. So that's what I did. Got booked out, book and release and everything, and I'm staying at that halfway house. And about 6 or 7 months later, they come up to me and said, hey, we got a deal for you. They opened up this new place out by the airport called the Lubbock County Corrections Facility. And if you'll agree to go in there and stay there for 9 months to 2 years, we'll add 2 more years to your probation. We'll drop these 2 DWI charges you got pending. I'm going, all right, that's it? That's all you want? Yeah, all right, we'll do that. So I went out to Lubbock County Corrections Facility. It was a brand new place. It was, just opened up. I was one of the first guys to be admitted to the place, and I went and did that deal and went in there and I got myself corrected, And I got out of that place, and I was the first one to get out of there. Oops. I ain't done already. Gone too long. Anyways, long story short, I called Walker up and asked him if he needed a houseman, to work over there at the Walker house when I got out, and he hired me. And I started working in the field of recovery. Got my license as a chemical dependency counselor. I've been counseling I've been working in the field about 24 years now. I had a really great career in the field of addiction. Worked at a place called Managed Care Center for a long, long time. Neat thing about that is I kind of got burned out on Managed Care Center, and the door opened up for me, at this Lubbock County Corrections Facility, and I work there now. That's a pretty neat little deal. One of my selling points, whenever I interviewed to get the job was, is that I'm your first success story. Which I am. It's a neat place to work because I know what it's like to sit on the other side of that desk. I know what it's like to be where the men are at. And it's a really, really neat deal, and I really love working there. In my early recovery, I followed directions. I stayed away from the girls because girls were a big problem for me. And after a couple of years being sober, I asked, it's okay for me to date a little bit, and they said, yeah. Anyways, I saw Cindy. I think first time over at Central AA group. She come walking in. I think it was Patty and Pam. and Cindy, and they all come walking in there, going down Allen Road. And I saw Cindy, and she had what I want, and I was going to go link for him and link to get it. Took me a little while to ask her out, though. I was scared to death because I didn't have good luck with the ladies. I always picked out the bad ones. But she seemed to be working the program pretty good, you know. And she's going down and on. I'm going to AA. We both got, you know, a little bit of sober time and recovery time, and we talked a lot, and we agreed, you know, let's take this slow, you know. Did it move straight in? It just took a few months before I moved in. So, you know, we did everything kind of backwards. You know. We bought a house together before we got married. You know. When we got married, we said we're just going to have a little wedding, you know, in the backyard, you know, and I built the porch for the wedding. We had Father Larry gets married, you know, and we got married, and we invited 75 people. You know, we didn't want a great big giant wedding, you know. And, well, 150 showed up. My family, and she had Cindy's family's pretty small. Her little family showed up, and then about 100 AAs came. You know, it was so neat. It really was. And I've gotten the privilege to raise a young boy with Cindy. Now we had to kind of learn a little bit about who he was, you know, because he didn't call me daddy or none of that stuff. I'm Gary, you know. And but we learned to get along with each other, and we learned to love each other, and one of these things in the world, you know, that young man has given us is these beautiful, beautiful grandkids. Now Zane said he was going to have a big family, and he has. He just delivered. They just had number 8. And, that's the last one they said. So, but we love them all, every single one of them. And, you know, the neatest thing in the world, man, is for we see these little babies, you know, running up, calling me Papa, and hugging my neck and loving on me, and they never seen me drunk or anything. You know, we got one Lydia that's been staying with us off and on here lately because of the new babies there, and she doesn't like to go home when it's time for her to go home. She kind of likes Janet over at Papa and Gigi's house. You know, like Cindy said, you know, we do live in a recovery home. You know, she sponsors now, and I sponsor an AA, and we're regular members of Littlefield AA Group. And good standing. We just love it, you know, that little AA group that we got. Average night's about, you know, 7, 8, 10 of us maybe. On a big night, it's about 20. You know? And it just fits us like a glove. It's a really neat deal. A lot of things have happened, you know, in our recovery. You know, and Cindy's had her medical issues, you know, and I've been right by her side, and I've had my medical issues, and she's been right by my side, and because of AA, you know, we've been able to get through these things, you know, with a lot of dignity and grace. And, you know, 5 years ago, my mother passed away right in front of my face. That was tough. You know, my dad, you know, when I was out there drinking and drugging all the years, you know, he would pick me up occasionally and scoop me up, and he would clean me up and dry me out and get me a job, set me back up, and help me get back on my feet again. And he did that over and over and over and over. And every time he says, "Last time, I ain't doing no more." He always would. he never gave up on me. My father never did. And when I finally got sober, he started coming to AA meetings with me. And I gave him my first 30-day chip. And he put it on his key ring, and he wore it proudly on his key ring. After a bit, and I got stable enough, he didn't come anymore. But and neither one of my parents, ever went to Al-Anon or anything. They were just glad I was sober. I made all kinds of different amends with them, and and a lot of financial amends. And finally, they told me that's enough. That you've done enough. I'm grateful that both my parents were able to see me get sober and make something out of my life, and it's only because of AA that I was able to do that. Now, there's another thing about, and then I'm gonna shut it down. When my mother passed away, my mom and dad had kind of a symbiotic little relationship. My mom, had double hip replacement. She couldn't get up and down and do things, and clean house as well as she used to. And Dad, he was retired and ran the house. So, he would do things for her, and she would take care of the bills because he couldn't sign his name anymore, and got to where he couldn't talk very good. He started losing his ability to talk, and they took care of each other. And when she passed away, he couldn't do things for himself, very well. He couldn't live in the house anymore, and so we sold everything in the house, that had an estate sale, and took that money and set him up in an apartment, for him to live in. And I'd go by every day and I'd cook supper for him and make sure that he was okay, and that he was taking his medications, and that he didn't, that all his needs were being met. And I did like that, and visit with him for a little bit, watch a little bit of television, and we'd sit and talk, and got really, really close with each other. He shared a lot of his feelings and stuff with me. And one day he told me, he said, son, I'm getting lonely, staying here by myself. And so I said, okay. I said, Dad, why don't you move in with me and Cindy, and you just come live with us. And so I should have asked Cindy first. I don't think I did, but I think I went and told her Dad's moving in. But she was graceful and said okay. And so Dad lived with us, and it was hard, he was okay for a while. He could still drive a little bit, but when we moved, right before he moved into our house, I did have to take his keys from him because he drove his car through one of the apartments. He hit the gas instead of burning. He went through somebody's apartment, and I took the keys away from him. And our roles had switched.
Yeah.
Our roles had switched. So I took the keys away from him, and we had his little car there, and we, Cindy would, she wouldn't work anymore. She'd go into town and stuff. She'd be able to leave him there. But it got to be where he was falling down more and more, and so she started feeling like she couldn't go. So she stayed with him during the day, and it was strange, He caused a few arguments with us, about it, but Dad was, he was going. We were getting ready to go to an AA meeting one night, and he's going, "Can I go?" Sure. Didn't know you wanted to, and he's going, "Yeah, I do. I would like to go." And this little AA group over in Rosefield wrapped their arms around my father and welcomed him into our AA group. And he came up there, and he would drink his coffee, and he would eat cookies, and he would get his hugs from all the girls and everything, and the guys, and they all made him part of the group, and he wasn't part of the group. And when we talking around the circle and everything. He'd come to him. Of course, we got a lot of proleads at that little AA group, and they go, I'll just pass it on, I'm glad to be here, this kind of stuff. Well, he picked up on that pretty quick. And he'd go, my name is Bill, and I'm just going to pass it on. And, I got a bad influence on him. He just laughed, He got to where he couldn't hardly say anything anymore, and that's one of the reasons why he did. He couldn't share. And little by little, I watched my father slowly fade away, and we had to put him in a nursing home because it just got too dangerous for him to live there. But I go pick him up and take him to meetings with us, and we did that until it got to where it was too difficult for him to do that anymore. One of the things, my father lost his ability to speak, but I always knew how to talk to him, and knew how to communicate with him, and I knew what he wanted and needed. And he struggled just to get words out. And up until the day he died, he could say, I love you. Is Dad still here? I remember one thing. I wanted my dad to know that he was loved, that I loved him, and that I appreciated what he did for me. And because of Alcoholics Anonymous, helping me get sober, learn how to live sober, I was able to give back my father what he gave to me. Unconditional love. He helped me when I couldn't help myself, and I was able to help him when he couldn't help himself. And without y'all, nothing ever would have happened. I've never been so grateful for my recovery. My father passed away in December, just before Christmas. Just a couple of days on the anniversary of my mother's death, just right before my mom died. Dad died almost on the same day, except 5 years apart. The support that Alcoholics Anonymous has given me and Cindy through our lives and our endeavors and our trials and tribulations is, I can never be grateful enough for that. And the only way I know to show it is to keep coming back. Suit up, show up, warm a chair in Alcoholics Anonymous, and carry the message of recovery to y'all. Thank y'all so much.